behind the Airbus scandal. Cabinet approval granted to withdraw from the process of co-sponsoring UNHRC Resolution 30/1 and 40/1. The Gazette to establish Sign the Marudu Urban Council withdrawn. The amendment to the vote on account seeking an increase in expenditure withdrawn. Court of Appeal orders that Gihan Pilapitiya not be arrested without a proper warrant.
Good evening, I'm Sandra Ferdinando taking a look at your stories in detail now. The Sri Lankan airline Airbus refleet deal. Now we have been talking about this story ever since we found out, and there have been so much of information coming right throughout. We have the information with us right now, but however, we need to verify certain facts, and no sooner this is done, we shall be reporting to you. So this is yet another revelation. Now, the Sri Lankan Airlines Airbus refleet deal, the 2013 purchase of 10 Airbus aircrafts for the national carrier, had led to much controversy solely because of the fraud and corruption surrounding it. Airbus Aviation Group had offered a $16 million bribe, of which $2 million was obtained and then transferred to various parties. After the massive bribes were obtained in secret, the UNP-led government decided to terminate the purchasing deal after paying $98 million to Airbus, and the loss to the country was approximately 14 million rupees. This is another revelation surrounding the Airbus scandal.
The aerospace giant was investigated by French and British authorities over suspected corruption dating back several years, and in the States over failure to comply with export rules. The UK Serious Fraud Office reported Airbus hired the wife of a Sri Lankan Airlines executive as its intermediary in connection with aircraft negotiations and offered a bribe of $16.84 million, which is over 3 billion rupees. $2 million of the promised amount was deposited to the Singapore bank account of a company known as Biz Solutions, registered in Brunei under the name of Priyanka Vijayanayake, the wife of the ex-CEO of Sri Lankan Airlines, Kapila Chandrasena. $2 million is approximately 400 million Sri Lankan rupees. Kapila Chandrasena and his wife are in remand custody for money laundering charges, and the case is taken up in the presence of Fort Magistrate Ranga Disanayake. When the matter was taken up initially, the Criminal Investigations Department informed court money was transferred from the Biz Solutions bank account in Singapore to Kapila Chandrasena's accounts in Australia on 2 separate occasions. In court yesterday, detectives revealed money was transferred to several other parties from the Biz Solutions account under the name of Priyanka Niyomali Vijayanayake. Accordingly, $800,000 was transferred to the Singapore bank account of a BVI company known as Sabre Vision Holdings in 2014 on 2 separate occasions. Investigations revealed the company is owned by Sri Lankan businessman Nimal Hemasiri Pereira, and the transferred amount is over 140 million Sri Lankan rupees. In 2014 again, another sum of 160,000 euros was transferred from Biz Solutions to the account of a Sri Lanka-based company by the name of SL Agro, and this is around 30 million Sri Lankan rupees. SL Agro does not have a registered address, and it has only 2 directors, brothers, whose identities were not revealed in court. Yesterday, the CID said a statement was recorded from one of the brothers, and the other was expected to provide a statement today. The second brother was a no-show even at 4:30 this evening.
Who arrived at the CID today? The 2 sons of Chamal Rajapaksa were summoned to the CID today. It has been revealed where the funds were ultimately transferred to. If a bribe of $16.5 million was asked, it means the number of people to share the bribe was more. All of them should be investigated.
The Committee on Public Enterprises, which convened a meeting at the Parliamentary Complex yesterday, discussed extensively with regard to the Airbus aircraft refleeting deal. Several matters regarded the controversial deal, including the manner in which discussions were held and the individuals involved in the process, had surfaced during the meeting.
I feel that the biggest transaction in the country had taken place without cabinet approval. The clearance of the Attorney General has not been obtained during the process and the end of the transaction. It is the Director Board which has been the authority in this deal. Therefore, the Director Board must be held responsible in this regard.
Where is the money to go ahead with such massive deals? There should be a plan if we are to enter into a deal worth 2.8 billion US dollars while our assets are valued at 19 million US dollars. Even a small child will understand that this transaction will be cancelled as the total asset value is lesser than the amount of the deal.
The Finance Division in its monthly report had notified the Director Board that the airline did not have adequate funds to proceed with the deal. This cash-strapped organization is finding it difficult to cope with the daily expenses. Although the Finance Division had submitted a board paper stating that the transaction would be restructured, the Executive Board continuously discussed this matter.
The Director Board cannot claim that they had signed this deal while not knowing that they did not have the strength to do so. The directors should take responsibility. The Auditor General too should take steps in this regard, inform the Attorney General's department and take action regarding this. It was revealed once again that the meeting regarding the purchasing of Airbus aircraft on the 1st of March 2013 had taken place at the official residence of the then Speaker Chamal Rajapaksa.
What is the importance of this Executive Board meeting which had taken place on the 1st of March at the former Speaker's official residence? Based on your observations, we learnt that the meeting had taken place here at 12 in the afternoon as the Executive Board members had to attend a COPE meeting. However, the COPE meeting had run from 9:30 to 11:30 am. The directors who were expected to attend the COPE meeting had not marked their presence. 3 directors had not been present while undertaking such a serious decision.
අධ්‍යක්ෂකවරු සහභාගී වෙලා නැහැ 3 දෙනෙක්. ඒක ඇත්ත වෙන්න ගරු සභාපතිතුමා. නමුත් මේකේ මම හිතන්නේ ඔක්කොම ඩිරෙක්ටර්ස්ලා අන්තිමට ෆයිනලි අප්‍රූවල් එක දීලා තියෙනවා. එදා දුන්නේ නැති වුණාට 2013 මාර්තු 1 වෙනිදා
It was the Director Board which convened on the 1st of March which had taken a final decision. The meeting had taken place at the official residence of the then Speaker. The reason for this, as put forward, is because one son of the Speaker was present in the Executive Board. Had any director objected towards this deal during this meeting or even after that?
එම අවස්ථාවේ හෝ ඉන් පසුව ලිඛිතව.
එහෙම නැහැ. MP Sunil Handunetti explained further about the controversial Airbus refleet deal during the adjournment motion debate in Parliament today.
Back then, Sri Lankan Airlines chose Seabury Consulting for advisory services. But today, the Auditor General in his report says they do not accept the responsibility for purchasing or selecting wide-body aircrafts. An Executive Board meeting was convened at the then Speaker Chamal Rajapaksa's official residence on the 1st of March of 2013. The memorandum that included all the decisions to be taken was drafted a day before, that is on the 28th of February. This report was presented during the meeting on the 1st of March. They claimed there was a COPE meeting that day, but this COPE meeting began at 9 in the morning and finished at 11 am. If they wanted, they could have had the meeting there. So why did they go to the Speaker's house for a meeting? Because the board included Chamal Rajapaksa's son, Sashindra Rajapaksa. What's even more important to note is 3 members who were summoned for the COPE meeting did not attend the Executive Board meeting. So these decisions were taken by a group comprising of only 4 Executive Board members. The report reveals that a majority was taken by Kapila Chandrasena.
මූල්‍ය අධ්‍යක්ෂකයි කපිල චන්ද්‍රසේනයි කියලා දෙන්නයි කියලා මේ වාර්තාවල තියෙනවා.
If funds worth $2 million was given to the CEO, what happened to the rest? Did Kapila Chandrasena take $380 million without the knowledge of Mahinda Rajapaksa or Nishantha Wickramasinghe? The government cancelled a 10-year agreement to take over Sri Lankan Airlines that was generating a profit of $4.4 billion during the financial year of 2007 and 2008. The present government is now bringing in an amendment to the vote on account. Kapila Chandrasena was a respected individual during the Rajapaksa regime, and this is why he was promoted. This was all a game that they played. Such a thing cannot be done by the CEO himself. The nephew of Mahinda Rajapaksa was part of the airline's senior management back then. I am not saying mistakes did not take place during our government, but the wrongdoers must be punished. When a loss of 700 million rupees was incurred from one hand, another 11 billion loss was incurred on the other. The general public must question themselves, will they vote for this government in the upcoming election?
දෙනවද කියන ප්‍රශ්නේ අපි රටේ ජනතාවෙන් අහන්න ඕන. එකක් මිලදී ගැනීමේදී වෙච්ච වංචාව.
No one speaks about the fraud that took place when purchasing aircrafts and cancelling agreements. We are aware that when cancelling certain foreign agreements, cabinet approval must be obtained. But orders were given by Ranil Wickremesinghe's senior financial advisor to his brother, who was the head of the airlines, to cancel the agreement without the knowledge of the then subject minister and without the approval of the Attorney General and the cabinet. The airlines had to pay $115 million as penalty fees for cancelling the agreement. Advisor the finance minister goes to discuss the matter. The respective company says if the agreement is cancelled, you will have to pay a heft penalty fee. They said, we will pay, and thereafter we can share this amount. The government suffered a loss of $115 million while Airbus got 85 from that. 25 million of that was shared among a group of powerful politicians and an airline official. In a few more days, we will reveal everything and the names of those who benefited from all the commissions. They all must be punished. The government must take legal action against both of these cases.
ආණ්ඩුව නීතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න ඕනේ.
The vote on account is a special provision given to the government to obtain the vote of Parliament to withdraw money when the budget for the new financial year is not released or the elections are underway. The amendment to the vote on account that was presented in Parliament recently to increase the borrowing limit of the vote on account that was presented by the former government last year for the first 4 months of 2020 was withdrawn in Parliament today. The decision was announced after an anonymous party leaders meeting convened this morning.
On the 23rd of October 2019, a vote on account valued at 757.6 billion rupees was presented in Parliament by the previous government for the first 4 months of 2020. Thereafter, approval was granted to raise these funds. The present government planned to raise this borrowing limit by a further 367 billion rupees. The government has proposed to increase the borrowing limit of 721 billion to 1,088 billion rupees. Leader of the House, Dinesh Gunawardena, requested party leaders to convene a meeting this morning with the intention of taking a decision in this regard. Accordingly, the party leaders' meeting was convened after adjourning Parliament.
During the meeting, the opposition led by you said they will not extend their support for the amendment to the vote on account. Therefore, preventing any further issues, we have decided to refrain from presenting the proposal. We have reached a decision in this regard. I would like to clarify the wrong picture that was conveyed when the amendment to the vote on account was withdrawn. This proposal includes 2 sections. We approve the section which includes development and relief, but we oppose the increase of the borrowing limit. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa visited India and requested for a debt moratorium of 3 years. Against such a backdrop, we have decided that we should not increase the borrowing limit.
Now it's finished. They are not moving. Now move there.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has requested for a temporary moratorium for debt repayment. Against such a backdrop, how could we increase the borrowing limit?
Meanwhile, the President and the Prime Minister spoke about the future government expenditure on state affairs. They expressed these views while attending the 22nd National Conference of the All-Island Samudri Development and Agricultural Research Assistant Officers Union.
The previous government has accumulated huge loans from countries and various companies on a very short-term basis without any fear or hesitation. At the end, they haven't even done anything with the loans. It appears that they have split the money among themselves. We came into power in a backdrop such as this. The government is in debt to the contractors to provide bonuses for their workers for the Sinhala Tamil New Year. When we were attempting to pay off those debts to the contractors, the opposition objected and are now saying they will defeat us in the upcoming election. Then they will defeat us only if we present the act. They say things like this. So do they get defeated in the parliament and go for a general election? Even a topic like that is being discussed in parliament these days.
එහෙම එකකුත් කතා වෙනවා දැන් මේ දවස්.
රජයේ සේවාවන් තියෙන්නේ ජනතාව වෙනුවෙන්.
Government services are for the benefit of the people. How difficult is it for the people to receive these services? How many obstacles should they go through? How many permission slips are to be processed? We should ease these processes. It is only through these that we can give the people what they need and give them the freedom they deserve. We talk about a person's freedom, but there is no freedom. The government has imposed various restrictions and people have lost their freedom. As government officers, we must relax these. Today, there is no fertilizer because the companies that bring fertilizer have not been paid over many years. Therefore, there are bill payments amounting to more than 130 billion to be paid by the previous government. They have left without paying these bills. We won't use these as excuses. We are ready to face these challenges. We will defeat those challenges.
ඒ අභියෝග අපි ජයග්‍රහණය කරනවා.
Convening a media briefing at the Finance Ministry this evening, State Minister Shehan Semasingh has said that the government will not present another amendment to the vote on account and will present an all-inclusive budget after the general election.
211. This is what happens is this 211 comes to amounts to the expenditure which was done on foreign projects, especially on road development. So the allocations have been done, but the payments are yet to be made. So we are compelled to make those payments too. So this total amount comes to 367 billion. Once again I repeat, I would urge you to write saying that this is not expenditure of Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Mahinda Rajapaksa regime. All this expenditure belongs to the previous Yahapalane UNP SLFP led government for the year 2019.
The government tried to present a proposal in Parliament today to increase the borrowing limit of the vote on account. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa during his visit to India said the government is unable to repay its debt. Against such a backdrop, the government tried to present this proposal and get it approved. It was an attempt to raise more debt at high interest rates. The opposition led by Sajith Premadasa opposed to this. We approved only the development and repayment but not the increase in borrowing limit. Thereafter, the government withdrew the proposal. This proves that with the appointment of Sajith Premadasa as the opposition leader, a political culture that puts the country first has commenced. We challenge the government to present a budget within 10 days. We will all vote in favour of it and support it.
The Cabinet of Ministers today decided to revoke the extraordinary Gazette notification issued to declare the establishment of the Sainamaduru Urban Council. Co-Cabinet spokesman Bandruguna Bodhana said that the current government had suspended the decision which had been made by the former government.
In 2018, Minister Faiza Mustafa presented a proposal to the Cabinet to establish an urban council in Saindamarudu. This is the proposal. We carried forward the recommendations made by Faiza Mustafa, who was the minister in charge at that time. However, the Cabinet decided to implement this in all provincial council areas if there was a requirement, instead of confining it to one place.
තීරණය තමයි දුන්නේ මේක අනුමත කරේ නැහැ.
නගර සභාවක් දැස පත් කරපු විශේෂ අතිවිශේෂ ගැසට් පත්‍රය තාම අවලංගු කරලා නැහැ නේද ඒක?
මේ කැබිනට් පත්‍රික
This cabinet paper will not be implemented in the future. According to that gazette, we have suspended the establishment of an urban council only in Saindamarudu. We have not cancelled that decision.
අහිමි කිරීමක් නෙමෙයි.
ඇතිවෙච්ච දැන් පහුගිය දවස්වල ආණ්ඩුවට සම්බන්ධම විවිධ පාර්ශ්ව ජාතික සංවිධාන එහෙමත් මාධ්‍ය සාකච්ඡා පවත්වලා මීට විරෝධය පළ කරා. ඒ විරෝධයේ හින්දා නෙමෙයිද මේ සයින්දමර්දු වලට ලබා දීපු මේ ගැසට් පත්‍රය අකුලා ගන්නට අපසු කටයුතු කරලා තියෙන්නේ?
නෑ.
No, there is no problem if a person is happy about it.
Meanwhile, residents of Saindamarudu took part in a religious observance at the Saindamarudu Jumma Mosque following the decision to withdraw the gazette.
This was permitted as it was not against the country's laws. If someone is saying that it had been permitted on the wishes of the government and as an election promise, it is false. A gazette is issued after obtaining cabinet approval. As far as I know, the former government had granted cabinet approval. There are certain cabinet papers which are considered null and void if they do not obtain cabinet approval through the respective ministries. The cabinet has not approved it, so it is not in effect. The government does not know what is it doing. They are issuing the gazette and then suspending it. A rift is being created between the Tamils and the Muslims as a result of this. After establishing the Sayanda Maradu Urban Council, those in the SLPP came before the public and said that they are a government which says what they do and does what they say. Now they have failed on their words. Minister Janaka Bandara Tennakone is saying that he did not sign the proposal. If it had not been signed, how was the cabinet paper gazetted? The proposal put forward by Faisal Mustafa was not approved. However, it was because of the elections that the government brought down Sayanda Maradu residents to Colombo and told them that they would be granted an urban council. After saying that they would grant a separate urban council to Sayanda Maradu, the government through its cabinet spokesman is saying that Sayanda Maradu cannot be considered as a special entity and that a gazette would be issued incorporating other urban councils as well. Their two-phase plan has failed.
While details concerning fraud and corruption are being exposed, proposals which increase the country's debt are being put forward. Against this backdrop, the unresolved problems of the public continue to exist. The grief-stricken residents of Vallavaya breathe a sign of relief today as a result of a project carried out by Gammadda.
The residents of Athilivava Vallavaya in the Munaragala district earn a living by farming and through labour. The daily activities of these residents had been hampered as the main road leading to the village was in a dilapidated state. The Gammadda team, which lent an ear to the pleas of the people that had gone unheard by the officials, began repairing the road on the 6th of this month. The Gammadda team completed the project with the support of the area residents, and members of Gammadda Savia jointly took part in the renovation of the road. The road spanning 4 kilometers, which runs from the Maharagama temple to Indipalassa, was declared open today with the participation of the Gammadda team members.
දේශපාලන අධිකාරීන්ට කොතෙකුත් කිව්වත් මේ අය ඇක් කරලා බැලුවේ නැහැ මේ දිහා මේ සිරස ගම්මැද්ද වගේ වැඩසටහනකින් මේ අපේ ගමට කරපු ලොකු සේවයක් හැටියට මම දකිනවා මේ.
හදිස්සියකට ලෙඩෙක් අරගෙන යන්න ළමයෙක්වත් ඉස්කෝලේට දාන්න උදේට එන්න විදියක් නැහැ මොකද පාර කැඩිලා පාරේ වලවල් දෙපැත්තේ කැලේ අලි ඉන්නව නිතරම මේ පැත්තේ හේන් ගොවිතැන් කරලා මේ දේ දාන භෝගපව පාරට ගේන්න ඕනේ මේ පාරවල් වල. ඉතින් මේ පාරේ අපහසුතාවය දැන් මගහරවල දුන්න සිරස ගම්මැද්දට කිව්ව සැනින්ම මේ වැඩේ කරා.
Area residents were delighted after being granted a solution to this issue, which had been neglected by the authorities, have named the road as the Gammadda Road.
Meanwhile, former magistrate Tilina Gamage told the Presidential Commission appointed to investigate incidents of political victimization of public sector officials that he was interdicted because he did not deliver rulings on 6 high-profile cases in favor of the previous government.
Are the case filed against former General Secretary of the UNP Tissa Attanayaka for preparing false documentation. The case regarding the coal tender. The case on the abduction and enforced disappearance of 11 youth. Case on the forced detention of an underage girl by Rajatha Senaratne and Chatura Senaratne. Case on the assassination of former parliamentarian Nadaraja Raviraj. And the case on causing defamation to ex-president Maithripala Sirisena. Tilina Gamage said when he disregarded the pressure from the former government, he was interdicted after falsely being embroiled into an incident of possessing an elephant calf. He informed the Presidential Commission he purchased an elephant calf in June 2012 by paying a sum of 3 million rupees to an individual identified as Chandraratna Yatavara from Mipe. He added, despite applying to the Department of Wildlife to convert the ownership of the elephant calf, he was denied a permit. He requested for the Commission to suspend the case taken up against him with the High Courts, citing political persecution. Meanwhile, the Attorney General's Department today informed the Presidential Commission it cannot submit documentation
as the request letter contained an error. Yesterday, the Presidential Commission appointed to investigate incidents of political victimization of public sector officials issued notice on the Attorney General to submit all documentation with the AG and the Criminal Investigations Department relating to the case on the abduction and enforced disappearances of 11 youth in 2008 and 2009. When Additional Solicitor General Sumudu Jayawardena informed the Commission of the error, the chairman of the Commission said the error was a typo. The chairman of the Presidential Commission ordered for the error to be rectified and the notice be resent to the Attorney General.
The Cabinet of Ministers has approved the decision taken by the government to withdraw from the process of co-sponsorship of Resolution 30.1 and 40.1 at the United Nations Human Rights Council.
The proposal to withdraw from 30/1, 40/1 proposals of the Geneva Human Rights Council was presented to the Cabinet. War veterans who fought for the country are being hunted through this proposal. The Cabinet decided to withdraw from 30/1, 40/1 proposals unanimously. With the support of other countries, the Foreign Ministry will withdraw from this proposal in the Geneva Human Rights Council.
සහයෝගයේ සියලුම කැබිනට් ඇමතිවරු ඒකමතිකව
එතුමා මේ 31කට සමානුග්‍රහය දැක්වීම ඉවත් වෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ අපේ නිර්දේශ ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීමෙන් ඉවත් වීමට අපිට හැකියාවක් තියෙනවා.
No, we can't step away from implementing the recommendations. The government intends to work with the United Nations in a manner that would not harm our sovereignty.
රජයේ බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
Minister of Foreign Relations and Leader of the House Dinesh Gunawardena informed the Parliament on the government's decision to withdraw from the UNHRC resolution.
The government has decided to withdraw from the UN Resolution 40/1 co-sponsored by Sri Lanka during the next Human Rights Council session. We will continue to coordinate with the United Nations representatives. A decision has been made to appoint a commission headed by a Supreme Court judge to review the report of the Sri Lankan Commission, which investigated allegations of human rights violations and the progress of implementing its recommendations, and to propose the steps which could be taken in this regard in line with the new government's policies.
විමර්ශන කොමිසමක් පත් කිරීමට කටයුතු කරනු ඇත.
5 days after the war was ended, on the 18th of May 2009, our leader at the time issued a joint statement along with the then UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. In that statement, the UN Secretary General had spoken on the violation of human rights. Our government too accepted this statement. The root cause of this disgrace is the joint statement signed with the United Nations Secretary General at the time. No one can escape from that. Therefore, I am requesting the government to refrain from acts which can backfire. As the opposition, we are ready to stand together for the country's territorial independence and political freedom.
බහුමික අඛණ්ඩතාවය රටේ දේශපාලන නිදහස් ස්වාධීනත්වය වෙනුවෙන් එකට හිට ගන්නට ලෑස්ති.
මේ ගැන විවාදයක් තියන්නේ නැහැ. ඇයි ඔබතුමා දවසෙන් දවස එක එක ස්ථාවර ගන්නේ? අපේ විරෝධාර සෙබළුන්ට
An international investigation had commenced to punish our country's leaders and the soldiers. We informed the UN Human Rights Council that we did not require foreign forces to investigate our country. We are capable of carrying out our own investigation on the basis of democracy. It was the decision to distance ourselves from this issue while maintaining cordial ties with other countries, which saved Mahinda Rajapaksa from the electric chair.
ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ ජනාධිපතිවරයාත් විදුලි පුටුවෙන් බේරගත්තේ මේ 30න් එක කියන යෝජනාව යුද්ධය අවසන් වුණේ මැයි.
The war was ended on the 19th of May. Prabhakaran died on the morning of the 19th of May. The then UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon arrived in the country on the 23rd. He arrived upon an invitation extended by the former president to discuss matters regarding the future course of action.
Convener of the Voice Against Corruption, Vasanta Samarasinghe, spoke about the MCC in Anuradhapura.
This government is seeking a public mandate from the forthcoming general election on whether it should proceed with the MCC agreement or not. There is no need for two public mandates. Mark my words, they are going to say this. They are asking the public to give them the mandate so that they could sign the MCC and use its funds to build roads and resolve land issues. Mark my words, they are going to say this.
The Court of Appeal today ordered the acting IGP to not arrest interdicted High Court Judge Gihan Pilipitiya without a valid warrant.
The Court of Appeal panel consisting of the President of the Court of Appeal, AHMD Nawaz, and Judge Arjuna Ubesekara. The order was issued during the hearing of the writ petition filed by interdicted High Court Judge Gihan Pilipitiya with the Court of Appeal seeking an interim injunction ordering preventing his assets. The petition will be taken up for discussion again on the 12th of this month.
The authorities are still trying to douse the fire that was erupted in AMBALANMULLA garbage dump close to the Colombo-Kattanayake Expressway. The area residents say the 10-acre garbage dump falls under the jurisdiction of the Kattanayake Seeduwa Urban Council. The fire erupted at 6 p.m. yesterday and spread to the Muthurajawala Reserve.
මේක මුතුරාජවැල මහත්තයෝ කලපු සංරක්ෂිතේ මේ සංරක්ෂිතේ තමයි සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම මේ කුණු බාගෙන අවුරුදු 20ක් අපි අපේ ගමට කුණු එපා කියලා දිනවා. මේක තමයි අම්බලමුල්ල සීමාව. එතන අම්බලමුල්ල අපි කොහෙද අම්බලමුල්ල මිනිස්සු යන්නේ දැන්? කුණු කණ්ඩක්. අර පැත්තෙන් ගම් වතුර. අර පැත්තෙන් මේක ලක්ෂණ තීටි පොළොව.
What you see behind me is the AMBALANMULLA garbage dump where the fire started last night and spread to the Muthurajawala Reserve. And moments ago we saw the fire and rescue department, the Sri Lanka Air Force and the police department effortlessly trying to douse the fire and mitigate this situation. Now, the Colombo-Kattanayake Expressway Traffic Unit told Newsfirst that this was the biggest fire ever reported since the expressway was opened in 2013. And because of this fire, a part of the expressway closer to this area was entirely covered by smoke. And because of that, the authorities were forced to close the expressway starting from the Jail exit to the Kattanayake exit temporarily. I'm Senita Senanayaka reporting for Newsfirst.
The Colombo-Kattanayake Expressway was closed today temporarily due to the smoke coming from that fire covering the parts of the expressway close to the garbage dump. However, due to the heavy traffic, a part of the highway from the Jail interchange to Palyagoda was reopened. Due to this condition, vehicles travelling from Jail to Colombo was able to travel on the highway free of charge until 8 p.m. Water bowsers belonging to the Kattanayake Seeduwa Urban Council and fire engines from Colombo and Negombo were called to douse the fire. In the afternoon, a Bell 212 of the Sri Lanka Air Force was deployed to spray water from above. Former district judge of Homagama Sunil Vikrama Abesinghe and a police constable who served as a private security detail to the ex-judge was sentenced to 16 years rigorous imprisonment after they were found guilty of soliciting a bribery. The bribe was obtained on a date between the 27th of May 2013 and 31st of May 2019. They were found guilty on 4 indictments which include obtaining a bribe of 300,000 rupees from a hotel owner and aiding and abetting in the crime. They were sentenced by Colombo High Court Judge Pradeep Hettiarachi. Meanwhile, the outbreak of the COVID-19 is having its toll on the global economy, with many economists now expecting a larger impact than SARS outbreak in 2002 to 2003 in 2019. And now China emerged as the leading import partner for Sri Lanka, accounting for 21% of total imports. Chinese tourists were third highest source market for tourism arrivals in 2019. In a poll conducted by the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, among its members, 49% of the firms stated that their businesses had been impacted by the COVID-19.
60% of the members that participated in the survey expressed that their sales had not been impacted due to the outbreak in the last 3 weeks compared to the same period in 2019. However, 40% of the survey's responders stated that they had a sales decline due to the impact of COVID-19 in the same period. 43% of survey respondents expressed that there was a slowdown in imports from China, while 27% felt that there was no impact yet, but are expecting supply disruptions in the next few weeks. 65% of members stated that their organization's overseas travel for business purposes has been limited due to COVID-19. However, Ceylon Chamber of Commerce said the impact for the months of March and April will need to be carefully monitored in terms of time delays and costs. Survey respondents were also concerned with regard to the business impact of misinformation related to COVID-19 developments. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Apparel Exporters Association said that the novel coronavirus will affect the apparel exports in the country. Meanwhile, in China, the outbreak is lowering GDP growth expectations in the first quarter to 4.5%. A marked slowdown for the 6% recorded in the last quarter of 2019. The slowdown in growth is also weighing in on global oil demand, given China is the second largest oil consumer. The International Energy Agency is forecasting a decline in the first quarter, making it the first quarterly fall in global oil demand in over a decade.
Meanwhile, gold prices have reached a 7-year high on concern that the coronavirus outbreak will hinder global growth.
The traditional haven has climbed more than 6% this year amid mounting concern over the effects of the virus. Gold has been performing strongly in a range of currencies, hitting new all-time highs during 2019 and 2020, reflecting not only investor uncertainty but also a likelihood that more stimulus will be required to boost activity in a post-coronavirus world. The price of gold stood steady at $1,610.43 per ounce at 11 a.m. in Singapore today, which was the highest since March 2013. Commodity analysts forecast that gold prices may top $1,650 over the coming weeks.
More news will come your way after this short commercial break.
Want to know about local and international top sports stories? Want to know answers for questions that you ever wanted to ask from your favorite sporting personality? Join us at 9:30 p.m. on Fridays on the Sports Center on TV1.
Welcome back. The Sectoral Oversight Committee on National Security has recommended to the Parliament to immediately ban attires such as the burqa and suspend registration of political parties on ethnic and religious basis.
This is stated in a special report presented to Parliament yesterday to resolve 14 controversial issues in the society following the April 21st attacks. The report was tabled in Parliament by the chairman of the committee, Parliamentarian Malik Jayatilaka. The report states that a number of countries have already banned the burqa, and the ISIS headquarters in Syria also banned the burqa on September 5, 2019. The report has suggested that the police should have the power to request any person wearing a face covering in a public place to take off such face covering in order to establish the identity, and if such a request by the police officer is not complied with, police should have the power to arrest the individual without a warrant. The report has recommended to the Election Commission to enact legislation to suspend registration of political parties on ethnic and religious basis. Accordingly, the registration of political parties which have some racial or religious conflict in their constitution or in the name of the party is prohibited. It has been proposed that such a party should be converted into a political or non-religious political party within a specified period of time. The report states that all students studying in madrasa institutions should be absorbed into the normal school system under the Ministry of Education within 3 years. Accordingly, the committee rejected the earlier proposal to bring the madrasa institutions under the Ministry of Education. It has been proposed that madrasa schools should be operated only for the education of Islamic Maulavis after GCE O-level or A-level examinations. The report also proposes to establish a special committee to regulate the madrasa institutions under the Department of Muslim Religious and Cultural Affairs. It contains recommendations on 14 areas including the national defense policy, amending the immigration and emigration law in line with the national and international developments, the manner of amending the Muslim marriage and divorce law, timely recruitment for the amendment of the Waqf Act, halal certification process, and establishment of a Ministry of Religious Affairs with all religions and halal certification.